Saladin, al-ad-Din Yusuf ibn Ayyub, a Kurdish Muslim revered for his wisdom, courage, and chivalry, ruled Egypt and Syria as Sultan. Born in 1137/1138, died in 1193, he founded the Ayyubid dynasty. After rising to lead Egypt's Fatimid Caliphate, he established his own Ayyubid rule in 1171. Through military conquest, he united Syria and parts of North Africa under his banner. His forces successfully pushed back the Crusaders from their holdings in the Levant. A man of culture and generosity, Saladin supported scholars, built schools, and funded social projects like hospitals. His fairness and respect earned him the admiration of Christian chroniclers, particularly during the Siege of Kerak. Even Crusader leaders, including King Richard I of England, held him in high regard. Though a formidable foe, Saladin transcended the role of mere enemy in the West, becoming a recognized symbol of chivalry. In response to Muslim victories, European powers launched the Third Crusade in 1190, led by Richard I, Philip II of France, and Frederick I Barbarossa. While the Crusaders captured Acre, Jerusalem remained out of their reach. A peace treaty between Richard and Saladin in 1192 marked the conclusion of hostilities before Saladin's death in 1193. Youth. Born Yusuf in Tikrit, modern-day Iraq, Saladin hailed from a Kurdish family with roots in Armenia. Following his father's expulsion in 1139, the young Saladin moved around with his family, eventually settling in Damascus. Though details of his childhood are scarce, we know he received an education that included Islamic studies, law, and mathematics. Biographers suggest a youthful interest in religion, possibly fueled by the capture of Jerusalem during the First Crusade. Notably, Saladin also mastered Arabic language and poetry, memorizing the famed Hamasa collection. Despite his scholarly pursuits, some accounts hint at a budding military inclination, later nurtured under the service of powerful leaders like Zengi and Nur al-Din. First conquests. Saladin's military career began at 26, accompanying his uncle Shirkuh on a mission to Egypt in 1164. Shirkuh, a prominent commander under Nur al-Din, aimed to reinstate the ousted Fatimid vizier Shawwar. Though Saladin's initial role was minor, he played a key part in the Battle of the Nile. Leading the Zengid right wing, he lured the Crusader Egyptian force into a trap using a feigned retreat. Despite initial Crusader success, the harsh terrain hampered their cavalry, and Saladin's forces ultimately contributed to a Zengid victory, though some historians dispute the extent of this triumph. Following the battle, Saladin defended Alexandria with a smaller force while Shirkuh withdrew. This experience marked the beginning of Saladin's rise as a military leader. In Egypt, Emir of Egypt, shrouded in uncertainty, Saladin's ascension to vizier in 1169 defied expectations. The Shia Caliph, al-Adid, bypassed tradition by appointing a Sunni outsider, Saladin. Some argue he saw Saladin's perceived lack of power as an opportunity for control. Others suggest Saladin's military prowess and generosity made him a strong candidate. Regardless, the decision sparked controversy. Historians debate whether al-Adid's advisors aimed to weaken the Zengid grip on Egypt by promoting Saladin, or if the Zengid emirs themselves forced the caliph's hand. Despite the political maneuvering, Saladin's leadership in Egypt was undeniable. Despite his newfound authority as a vizier in 1169, Saladin's path wasn't smooth. He publicly embraced a more religious lifestyle, perhaps to quell concerns. However, a tightrope walk awaited him. Balancing loyalty between the Fatimid Caliph, al-Adid, and his former patron, Nur ad-Din, proved difficult. Whispers even suggest a tense exchange between them. Internally, Saladin faced threats. He foiled an assassination attempt and then decisively crushed a rebellion by Fatimid soldiers and Egyptian elites. By August 23rd, he had secured Cairo, eliminating any immediate military challenges within the city. By late 1169, Saladin had secured his position in Egypt. With reinforcements from Nur ad-Din, he crushed a combined Crusader and Byzantine force near Damietta. He further bolstered his authority by appointing family members to key positions and promoting Sunni Islam through the construction of religious schools. Feeling secure, Saladin launched his first offensive against the Crusaders in 1170, besieging Darum. Though King Amalric responded, Saladin outsmarted him, capturing and destroying the town of Gaza. He also secured a strategic victory by capturing the Crusader castle of Isla on the Red Sea. These actions marked the beginning of Saladin's long conflict with the Crusaders. Sultan of Egypt. In June 1171, acting on advice from religious leaders and with Nur ad-Din's approval, Saladin abolished the Fatimid Caliphate in Egypt, replacing it with the Sunni Abbasid Caliphate. This move solidified his control and aligned Egypt with a more powerful Islamic authority. The Fatimid Caliph, Al-Adid, died shortly after, under unclear circumstances. With his position secure, Saladin launched a coordinated attack with Nur ad-Din on Crusader castles in 1171. However, Saladin abruptly withdrew before reaching his target, fearing Nur ad-Din would use the opportunity to seize control of Egypt. This strategic move, masked by claims of internal dissent, preserved the fragile balance of power in the region but strained Saladin's relationship with Nur ad-Din. In 1172, Saladin faced threats on multiple fronts. He sent reinforcements to repel an Ayyubian attack on the Egyptian border town of Aswan. Meanwhile, tensions with Nur ad-Din simmered. To settle a debt for an earlier Egyptian campaign, Saladin offered Nur ad-Din manufactured goods and valuables instead of cash. While delivering the payment, he raided Crusader territory, aiming to disrupt their control without a direct attack. The same year, Saladin's father passed away. In 1174, seeking a potential escape route in case of conflict with Nur ad-Din, Saladin dispatched his brother Turan Shah to conquer Yemen, securing a strategic foothold in the region. Acquisition of Syria. Occupation of Damascus. In 1174, fate intervened. Nur ad-Din's sudden death left his young son on the Syrian throne. Saladin, now politically independent, faced a critical choice. He could conquer Syria or focus on the Crusaders. Though tempted by the opportunity, he feared the Islamic world would view him as an aggressor. Instead, he awaited an invitation from the new ruler. When Aleppo's emir threatened to overthrow the young sultan, Damascus appealed to Saladin for help. Seizing the opportunity, Saladin marched across the desert, gathering support along the way. He entered Damascus to cheers and established himself as the power in Syria, paving the way for his future clashes with the Crusaders. Further conquests. Leaving a trusted brother in charge of Damascus, Saladin embarked on a campaign to secure former Zingid territories. He swiftly captured Hama but faced tougher resistance at Homs. Moving north, he besieged Aleppo, where the young Sultan Salih pleaded with his people to resist Saladin. Despite the pleas, Saladin's forces gained the upper hand. Facing internal dissent and the threat of an attack from the Crusader Raymond of Tripoli, Saladin's position became precarious. However, a foiled assassination attempt by a group sent by a rival group, the Assassins, boosted Saladin's resolve. He would need all his skills to navigate the complex political and military landscape of Syria. Saladin faced a propaganda war from Syrian rivals who accused him of betraying Nur ad-Din's legacy. To counter this, he framed his actions as protecting Muslims from the Crusaders. He recaptured Hama and defeated a Crusader force there, bolstering his image. He then conquered Homs, further solidifying his control. However, his success alarmed Saif al-Din, another Zengid leader. Seeing Syria as his birthright, Saif al-Din challenged Saladin with a massive army. Outnumbered, Saladin initially sought negotiation, but ultimately faced the Zengid forces in battle. Utilizing his terrain advantage and seasoned troops, Saladin achieved a decisive victory near Hama. This triumph forced Salih's advisors to cede control of Damascus, Homs, Hama, and surrounding areas to Saladin, significantly expanding his Syrian territory. Saladin's victory at Hama marked a turning point. He declared himself king, erasing the young sultan's name from official pronouncements and currency. The Abbasid Caliph, recognizing Saladin's strength, confirmed him as Sultan of Egypt and Syria. However, the conflict with the Zingid dynasty wasn't over. In 1176, Saladin led his forces north to face a new Zingid army raised by Saif al-Din. Despite encountering setbacks, Saladin's strategic maneuvering and leadership ultimately secured victory. He released Zingid prisoners and shared the spoils with his army, solidifying his reputation for generosity. Though tensions persisted, Saladin had emerged as the dominant power in Syria, paving the way for his future clashes with the Crusaders. Returned to Cairo and raid Palestine. After securing his dominance in Syria, Saladin returned to Egypt in 1176. He spent the next 2 years strengthening his base, repairing and expanding Cairo's walls, initiating construction of the Cairo citadel, and digging a deep well, Yusuf, for the city's water supply. He also established universities and workshops and appointed officials to govern. However, a Crusader raid on Damascus in 1177 shattered the fragile truce. Seizing the opportunity, Saladin launched a raid into Palestine, targeting Ascalon, a strategic Crusader city. With a sizable army, including elite forces and Sudanese soldiers, he plundered the countryside, setting the stage for a major confrontation with the Crusaders, fighting in truce with Baldwin. Despite his growing power, Saladin faced setbacks. He allowed a Crusader force to capture Ascalon and Gaza, and in a surprise attack at Tel Gezer in 1177, his army was routed by a smaller Templar contingent. Though shaken, Saladin refused to be cowed. In 1178, he actively engaged the Crusaders near Homs. His forces in Hama achieved a victory, but Saladin's harsh execution of prisoners tarnished his reputation. The year ended without further major battles, but the stage was set for a more sustained conflict with the Crusaders. Anticipating a Crusader attack on Syria, Saladin deployed General Farag Shah with 1,000 men to harass and delay the enemy. Farag Shah lured King Baldwin IV deep into Muslim territory, setting the stage for an ambush. Saladin, alerted by a beacon fire, marched his main force and decisively defeated Baldwin's overextended army near Quneitra in April 1179. This victory bolstered Saladin's position. When Baldwin attempted to build a strategic fort at the Fort of Jacob, Saladin first offered a large sum of money to halt construction. Refused, Saladin swiftly destroyed the unfinished fort and engaged the Crusaders in battle. Taking advantage of the Crusaders' disarray, Saladin's forces secured a decisive victory, capturing many knights and forcing the surrender of the Fort of Jacob by August 1179. This win marked a turning point in Saladin's struggle against the Crusaders. In the spring of 1180, when Saladin was in the Safed region, fearing a strong campaign against the Kingdom of Jerusalem, King Baldwin sent messengers to him and offered to sign a peace treaty. Due to drought and crop failures that depleted his supplies, Saladin agreed to a ceasefire. Raymond of Tripoli condemned the ceasefire but was forced to accept it after an Ayyubid raid on his territory in May and the appearance of Saladin's naval fleet off the port of Tartus.